Hey everyone, this is Jim Campbell with Opkalla. We'll give everybody another 30 seconds or so before I kick off, and then we'll get started. Okay, we're at the top of the hour, so we will get started. I'm sure we'll get some folks rolling in towards, a few minutes late. But first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for joining this afternoon. I know how busy things can get, but we hope you appreciate and find the presentation from the Avaya team productive and worthwhile. So before we get started, I'll introduce myself. My name's Jim Campbell. I'm one of the managing partners here at Opkalla. Our role here at Opkalla is being a trusted advisor to Avaya. So our based in Charlotte, North Carolina, our expertise scales a number of different areas between cloud communications, network, cloud, cybersecurity, Microsoft 365, and then another kind of a niche area, which is data center maintenance. But all that to be said, we have seen a tremendous amount of success with the Avaya team. So knowing a little bit about their offering, what they're doing, how cutting edge this is, we thought it'd be a good opportunity to share it with the group, and hopefully the attendees could learn a little bit about it. So that being said, a few housekeeping points. I will be soon to hand it over to Steve from who is the director of cloud for Avaya. He will be running point on the presentation itself. However, if you have questions, typically we leave those towards the end of the presentation. We'll give about 10 minutes to answer questions if you have them. If you do, just put them in the chat and we will certainly answer them towards the end. But all that to be said, I hope you find this time valuable and again, productive. And Steve, I will hand it off to you.
Thanks, Jim. So let me just quickly share my screen. If you could just give me a quick shout when you can see my screen.
Yep, we see it.
Awesome. So my name is Steve Forkham. I'm the Chief Evangelist at Avaya, and I'm really excited to share a little bit about Avaya Cloud Office and the benefits that you can find in moving to a cloud communication solution. And the number one benefit, and frankly, the only feature of a cloud-based service is something that people don't necessarily think of when they think about moving to cloud, because there are a lot of benefits. The end user experience, the apps, the conferencing. The best way to share with you what I think of as the main feature of moving to cloud can best be told through a customer story. So back in June of 2020, I met with a customer. This is a long-time Avaya customer. Our account team dutifully prepared me for the meeting. They let me know that this customer was using an Avaya phone system for years. When the pandemic started in February, they reached out and they took advantage of our temporary licensing offer at the time to help move their workers from the office to the safety of their homes. And the whole reason for this meeting was just the licensing was coming up on expiration. The CTO had a couple of questions they wanted to ask, and then they were ready to, place an order for some licensing. So we jump on the bridge, and right from the get-go, this meeting was going to be memorable. The CTO shared with us a very sobering reality. Since the pandemic had started for them, they had recognized no meaningful revenues. So we're meeting with this customer in June of 2020. They moved everybody to the offices, and the pandemic really started for them around, early March. So you're talking months with no revenue, and they had to make hard decisions as a result. They had to say goodbye to some of their staff. And there's a saying that, the people we work with are like family. For this organization, and especially for their CEO, they walked that walk. He treated his staff as family. So having to say goodbye to anybody was akin to putting family on the street. It wasn't an easy decision. Well, you fast forward to June, The economic realities hadn't improved, and they were staring down the barrel of an even more painful decision. So before they made that decision, the CEO tasked all of their business leaders, shake the trees, dig through your couches, look through your budgets to find any spare change, because a lot of spare change across all of these different departments means potentially fewer people we may have to say goodbye to. So the CTO shared with us that this put them at a crossroads. Just like the rest of their leadership peers, they also had to find budget cuts to offset payroll reductions. But at the same time, unlike their peers, they were also evaluating expenditures. They had to spend money on infrastructure, frankly, some money that they didn't necessarily have. So the CTO preempted the first part of the discussion by saying, I think if we move to cloud, this potentially could be a way for us to, kick the can down the road. I won't have to spend the money up front, but I don't know how it helps me achieve lowering my ongoing costs. And that ultimately is the king for us. So I said, pardon the pun, but let's zoom out a little bit. What does the rest of your collaboration stack look like? How do your people meet virtually? How do you message and collaborate? And this customer was not unlike most that we work with. Over the years, they had built a multi-vendor, best-of-breed, monolithic solution. And in the past, you went out and you built best-of-breed solutions because the apps that you would buy from a single vendor in a bundled approach had some feature loss. They had some giveaways, and it was just too much to make. So most organizations run best of breed. When you need a video meeting service, you look at what are the options out there and you choose the best meeting service at the time. When you need a messaging service, you treat it as a separate app to be evaluated and to be procured. So we talked a little bit, and I said, if you change your thinking from best of breed, is it a luxury you can even afford anymore? And you start to think best of suite, because when you move to cloud, a lot of these things that you used to buy as apps have become features. And the interesting thing is the mindset that started the best of breed approach, missing features isn't really real anymore in the UCaaS space. When you move to a bundled approach, there is very little, if any, feature loss, but there is a ton of cost benefit that you can find. And when we did back of the napkin math, we found that just by moving to a cloud-based service like Avaya Cloud Office, that would have helped this IT leader offset 2 IT headcount just in this one change. And this led the CTO to muse aloud, and I use this quote with almost every customer now. He asked, what am I potentially paying twice for in my stack? And what does it do to justify the duplicated expense? Is there opportunity to further cut costs as I look across the rest of my IT application stack? And is there something that I'm spending separately on that justifies that? That whole best of breed mindset. So then he asks the question, he says, I get it. Cost savings ultimately is the feature, but are these short-term savings that come at a long-term cost? I buy my software today. I buy my phone system licenses from Avaya. I sweat them. I, have them deployed. Is this going to, cost me money in the long run? Because moving to a cloud-based service with a monthly recurring fee, it will be the same charge from now until the end of time. Back when I was a customer, I used to do this same type of math. I used to do return on investment math. If I looked at a cloud-based service and I looked at a software-based service, in my head, I would say there's some time over the next 3 to 5 years, that magical moment where spending the money now will save me the money then. The reality is, with cloud-based services, the total cost of ownership is almost always lower than buying and building your own service. And there's a great way to visualize this. Imagine taking your requirements, the number of users that you have, the devices that your users need, desk phones, cameras, headsets, and such, and going out to market. If you get a proposal for a software company and you get a proposal from a cloud company, well, what they're proposing to implement is essentially the iceberg, and the quote is the part of the ice that's above the surface. And they look a lot alike. Each one of them will include a per user line item. On the software side, it's a license. On the cloud side, it's a subscription. Both of them will include the devices, headsets, cameras, desk phones that people need, and both of them will include some implementation fees. So if you are like I was when I was a customer 20 years ago, you would have signed on the line for the software because you would have done return on investment math. I spend the money now, I never spend it again. I'll start saving somewhere over the next 3 to 5 years. When you sign on the dotted line for either proposal, this is the moment you get in the water. And when you sign on the line for the software side, this is the moment you realize you might have made a big mistake because the ice is really, really deep. There are a lot of things that are not on a software-based proposal that you need, starting with somewhere to actually host the application. So you're talking about data center, hosting, rental, power, cooling, backup, batteries, and generator. You need somewhere to run the application. So you're talking about compute, storage, and network, hardware, software, virtualization, licensing. You need somewhere, you need the connectivity to talk to the outside world. So you're talking about carrier services, PRI, SIP trunks, and such. You need network access so your users can get to the application in your data center, so MPLS, internet, and such. Then you wrap all of that with maintenance contracts. You wrap all of that with the human cost of keeping everything operational. And even if you've done all of these things, you've created a single point of failure. If you want to make this application highly available, times 2. If you want to make it globally redundant, times 3, times 4, times 5. The ice is really, really deep, and it costs a lot to operate your own infrastructure. Now, over on the cloud side, when you get in the water, you're going to realize the ice is really shallow. Sure, you need some internet access so that way your users can get to the cloud, but that's about it. Everything else that you need is above the surface in that per user subscription, which means not only is the total cost of ownership lower, you gain predictability. You know what your communication costs are going to be on a user by user basis. It scales with your organization. But there's also another key benefit included in that subscription, and that's upgrades. It gets you out of the annual running of the Hunger Games when it comes to budget time. No longer are you fighting for upgrade dollars to keep your communications infrastructure current. Cloud services are unlike anything else that you buy. When you buy a brand new car, the first day is the best day. You drive it off the lot, take a mental snapshot because it only goes downhill from there. The new car smell fades, kids leave wrappers and toys all over the car. The first day is the best day. Cloud services, however, are the exact opposite. The first day is the worst day. As awesome as these services are, and you're going to see them in a minute with Avaya Cloud Office, they're only going to get better over time because of the innovation that's included with your solution. So not only do you keep your toolkit sharp for your organization, it keeps your skill set sharp if you're in IT. And ultimately, this is the key difference when you're looking at cloud versus on-premise. You don't want to necessarily just evaluate the product. You want to evaluate the supplier behind it. Are they going to continue innovating? Are they going to continue investing in this platform? And you'll see in a second, this is really an area where Avaya stands apart from all others. So if cost savings are the ultimate feature in moving to a cloud-based service, what else is there? What are the benefits? And let me tell you, there are a ton of them. And especially with a jointly developed solution that's a first of its kind, Avaya Cloud Office by RingCentral. It has 2 parents. This is a solution that is the coming together of 2 industry leaders to give you something unique. When you choose Avaya Cloud Office, you get more features, you get twice the R&D, and you get it at the same price as if you bought RingCentral service or any other cloud service by itself. You start with the Magic Quadrant leader in RingCentral. Their platform, highly scalable, highly available with 5 nines uptime, contractually. They have not had to pay a penalty fee in years. This means the system is only unavailable for no more than a couple of minutes per year. A lot of other industry competitors are operating around 3 nines, which is hours of downtime. You get a buffet line of data analytics. You can literally measure almost anything that goes on in your system. And you get what we call MVP, messaging, video, and phone, all in a single app, all in a single subscription. But then you also get Avaya innovation in devices. So we've got video cameras, desk phones, and we're even getting ready for the future of work as we all start to return to our offices and to start working in this new work from anywhere environment. Our devices, the newer devices, the Vantage and our CU360 camera for your huddle rooms, gives you the ability to leverage your entire subscription, not just the P, not just phone, but messaging, video, and phone, all on a device on your desk, all in your conference rooms. And because it runs Android, when you get invited to somebody else's bridge, which we know happens, all you got to do is download the app and join that meeting. So no more calling your friends in IT when you got to jump on a video meeting in a huddle room, or no worrying about your laptop crashing in the middle of a call. You've got a dedicated device for your collaboration environment. We're also bringing over the most popular features from our on-premise phone systems that make these devices so useful. And what this means is when you're coming from an on-premise system to a Avaya Cloud Office solution, you get the disruptive benefits without the disruption to your business. You're not relearning how call flows work. You have the opportunity to learn how to leverage the collaboration solution to increase productivity. And then the migration is key, and services are our secret weapon. So we make sure that your go lives are smooth as silk. We have migration toolkits that our client success team will use to extract data from your existing gear and upload into the cloud. And then after go live, this is the biggest benefit of our partnership with RingCentral. If you have any issues whatsoever, you're tapping into a $500 million partnership between two industry leaders. You're not a customer of one queued up out front waiting to open a ticket and have somebody look at it. You contact our North American concierge team. We will troubleshoot the issue for you. And if it needs escalation to our partners at RingCentral, we do that on your behalf. And we don't wait in line either. We have our own dedicated team at RingCentral Services Organization, which means your tickets will get faster escalation, more visibility, and they'll just be closed faster. Now, the service is designed to be easy. It's easy for the end users to increase productivity. We adopt the email model. With email, every user has a single email address that synchronizes on all of your devices. With Avaya Cloud Office, every user has a single phone number that synchronizes on all of your devices. Incoming calls will ring wherever you happen to be logged in. When you make a phone call, we're going to show your business phone number in the caller ID. So this way, when people call you back and you can't answer the call, it'll go to your voicemail box. You have less to manage, a centralized voicemail, where you have voicemail to email and speech to text and a host of other functionality. We also realize that conversations are more than just phone calls. You need to be able to do more than just support devices. We also need to support the ways that we communicate today. Otherwise, you're giving people your cell phone number, and that's defeating the purpose of having a UCaaS service. So with Avaya Cloud Office, you get unlimited calling. You also get unlimited faxing and unlimited text messaging as well. So there's never a reason to give anyone your cell phone number. We also take apps and turn them into features. So with Avaya Cloud Office, a great example of this is video meetings. Every user has their own personal video conferencing bridge. They can invite up to 200 parties to join in high definition. You'll see 16 of them on screen at once, and you can share your desktop or a specific application like we're doing right now. But collaboration requires more than seeing and sharing. What about the folks who couldn't attend in real time? Sure, they can watch an on-demand replay, but who's got 30, 60, 90 minutes times 2, times 3, however many meetings you weren't able to attend. I don't. So with Avaya Cloud Office, all I need to do is read the Cliff Notes. Inside of the tool, team members can share notes, so this way it's easy to catch up. Speaking of sharing, we can also upload the files that the teams are working on, so this way everything's in one place. No more digging through your hard drive to try and find that file, realizing it's too big to go through email, and then going to Dropbox, uploading the file to Dropbox, waiting for the upload to finish, copying that share link, going to your email. I'm exhausted just describing it, never mind doing it. All you have to do is upload those files into the same tool that you're meeting on. So this way, your next meeting picks up where the last one left off. You can even make sure that tasks get completed. They don't get forgotten about because you can track those here as well. So it's a super easy tool for your users. It's available on every device that they use, mobile phones, tablets, computers, even in the video conferencing rooms. But it's also just as easy for our friends in IT because managing a system in the past used to be an absolute bear. You used to have special software installed. You used to have to go away for training to learn a special programming language. With Avaya Cloud Office, management is as easy as online banking. All you do is go to a web page and log in. You can make an change to your entire organization from this one portal. You can modify call queues. You can change auto attendance. You can even add new users and phone numbers in a matter of minutes. And this functionality is embedded into the mobile app. So if you're on the go and an urgent request comes in, it doesn't need to wait for you to be in front of a computer. Just grab whatever device happens to be handy, open up the app, make the change, and get going with wherever you were going. So it's super easy to manage. It's also super easy to troubleshoot. This is one of the biggest fears that people have in moving to a cloud-based service. Because over the years, we've drilled the need for managed networks, quality of service, private networking links like MPLS in order to deliver good quality audio. Now we're pushing this over the public internet. What happens when something goes wrong? Well, with Avaya Cloud Office, we include a time machine, and the time machine comes in the form of analytics. Everything is measured. So when somebody reports a bad experience, either audio or video, you can start to investigate. You can round up the usual suspects. So when we think bad audio or video, we think the network. Was there packet loss? Was there jitter? Was it on the upload? Was it on the download? You'll see all of that. But in a world where we're using devices like our computers and our cell phones and our tablets to join meetings and make calls, sometimes the villain of the story is the device that was used. And you'll see all sorts of information about that as well. The model number, the operating system installed, what type of network connection was in use, who was the carrier, how much processor was being utilized, how much memory was allocated. All of those things, so this way you can find the needle in the haystack. And just like the management interface, the analytics portal is also embedded into your mobile apps. Speaking of being embedded, one of the key values of our service is the fact that we have consolidated calling, messaging, and meetings into a single app, but then we've embedded into the rest of the toolkit that your users use for productivity. We integrate with almost every major application on the market today. So if you're using Salesforce, Zendesk, ServiceNow, Zoho for your CRMs, we've got them all. If you're using Office 365 or G Suite, we integrate with it for one click to join meetings and contact synchronization. In fact, we synchronize with non-communications apps like Dropbox, like Google Drive, like Trello for project management. And the number one requested integration comes from Microsoft Teams. So with Avaya Cloud Office for Microsoft Teams, we don't force you to move away from a Teams environment because a lot of organizations adopted Teams as a result of the pandemic because it was embedded with your Office 365 subscription. It works. And once you get data inside of Teams, it's almost impossible to take it out. And moving to a different service doesn't necessarily make sense. There's no financial benefit, but there is a lot of pain. So with our service, we can integrate with Teams and we can just make Teams work better. Depending on what licensing tier you have, doesn't matter because we've got all of those things covered. So we give you more functionality, we give you more reliability, and we do it all at a lower price than buying a Microsoft calling plan for Teams. So even if you have Teams, you don't need to move away from it. We integrate with it directly. And what makes this service different than any other UCaaS service lies primarily in the fact that you don't have one supplier providing R&D budgets to this platform. You have two suppliers working to make the platform better on a nonstop basis. Every year, we work with our partners at RingCentral, and we deliver new features 4 times a year. There's one major software release every year. This really is the genesis of this partnership between these two industry leaders. We're coming together to create a cloud-based service that is unlike anything else in market, that gives you more features, that gives you more R&D, all at the same price as buying a unified communication service by itself. So that is a quick overview, but ultimately, I think the actual sizzle to this comes from seeing the solution, not just from talking about it. So now what I'd like to do is just do that. I'd like to show you the solution. So I'm going to break out really quick. And now let me share my screen. And let me start by showing you how easy it is to manage the service. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to do your day-to-day management. So I'm going to log in to my Avaya Cloud Office account. And like I said, from this top-level portal, I can make changes to my entire environment. I can add, modify call queues. I could change auto attendance. But I think the number one thing that people do is they manage users. So let's go ahead. Let's add a new user. Let's say we've got a request to add a new user up in Massachusetts, where I happen to be. So I'm going to click on the Users tab. I'm going to get a brand new phone number for this user. So I'm going to click Add User. The first step is to set their phone number up. So you choose, is it a domestic or is it an international phone number? So it's a domestic number. If I was opening up a brand new office, I could tell the system I need 10 phone numbers or 100 phone numbers or 1,000 phone numbers for this office. But I'm only setting up one remote user, so I just need one. I'm going to set them up in Massachusetts. I choose which city I want the area code based in, City of Champions, Boston. And now I need a new number, so number option, new number. And now I choose which device I want to assign to this user. So there's a host of different devices in here. I've got all the Avaya desk phones. I've got the Avaya conference phone if this is going in a conference room. But for this demo, all I need is a soft phone. So I'm just going to go to other phones and choose that. Now, if I had chose a phone, we pre-configure the phone in our distribution center. So when you receive it or when your user receives it, all they got to do is plug it in and it's ready to go. So I'm going to choose soft phone and I'm going to click add and I'm going to go to the next step. Now I cheated a little bit. There's nothing to ship. So I'm going to get an error message here, but that's okay. If I had added a phone for this user, I could specify where I wanted it shipped to. So I could have it shipped directly to the office, or I could have it shipped directly to them for that plug and play deployment. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. This screen here is one last confirmation about the change that I'm about to make with my Avaya Cloud Office account. I can see the new user's cost. I can see a prorated adjustment. We're very friendly to accounts payable. We only bill once a month. I can see taxes and fees. Uncle Sam gets his little bit. And if everything looks good, and it does, I'm going to check the box and I'm going to hit next. And now within 60 seconds, I'm going to have a brand new number added to my account. There it is. So let me copy the last 4 numbers of that phone number, and I'm going to hit done. So I've got the phone number. The next step is to assign that phone number to my new user. So I go to unassigned extensions. This is where all of my new numbers will live. Or if I have somebody leave my organization, when I delete their account, the phone number will come in here so I could reassign it later on. So let's do a search for that new phone number. There we go. And now let's assign it to my new user. So Bill Belichick. Make sure there's only one of them. And there is. Now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I could set up different roles. So if I want to enable this user to have access to different things like analytics or management or international dialing, I can do that, but I'm just going to leave it as the default. My software tier also includes automatic call recording. So with our premium and ultimate tiers, you can automatically record your user's calls. So I could click here to record all calls to Bill. I could click here to record all calls Bill makes, or I could click to record both because we know how much this user loves recording things. So I hit save, and that's it. Bill has been added to our account. He'll receive an email letting him know that he's been added to the organization's Avaya Cloud Office account, and there's a link to finish setting up his account. The first step is he needs to specify a password, unless we're using a single sign-on source like Office 365, G Suite, or even Active Directory. Once you have that squared, then Bill just specifies the physical address where he'll be using the service. So this way, if he ever dials 911, we know where to send emergency responders. He does those two things. He can download the app, sign in, and immediately start using the service. So within minutes, this is ready to go. Any hardware that was ordered for Bill will be pre-configured and shipped to him for that plug and play deployment. So now what I'd like to do is show you the end user experience. So once we've got the account set up, I'm going to open up my app. Now, this app has calling, messaging, and meetings all in this one interface. And it's the same interface whether you're using a mobile device or a computer. So let's start with the basics. Let's make some calls. So if I open up the phone icon, I can see a list of all of my calls, inbound calls, outbound calls, missed calls. If I want to make a phone call, I can just open up the dial pad. I could enter part of somebody in my organization's last name, say Peggy, and I could click to call her. Or I can dial a phone number manually. And if the cellular gods cooperate with me, this call will come in. There it is. And now while I have a call, I can make it a conference call. I could add another party to the call. If I open up the features tab, I could transfer this user to another person in our organization. I could record the call on demand if my line is not automatically being recorded. And I could flip this call to another device. Call flip is like the drafts folder for your phone calls. Just like you can start an email on one device, save it to your drafts folder, and then pick it up somewhere else, you can take a discussion and move it from device to device mid-conversation, and no one knows that you've done it. So I could take this call on my computer at 4:58. I got to leave on time. I can flip it over to my iPad. I could flip it over to my cell phone, pack up, and get going. So that is how you make and receive calls with Avaya Cloud Office. Now, voicemail is included for every single user. You can get your voicemails in your email if you'd like to have a unified inbox. But if you're like me and you get enough email as it is, I like to keep them separate so you can access them here. I can see a list of all of my voicemail messages. If I want, I could click play and I could listen to all 29 seconds of Denise telling me what she was calling me about. But who has time to listen to that? I don't. All you need to do is click here and you'll get a speech to text transcription of this message, and you'll get the gist of why, in this case, Denise called me. And then I can choose to either call Denise back, I could message Denise back because there are certain people you want to chat instead of call, or I could, because she's an internal user, I could click to video chat with Denise. If it's an external user, you also have the ability to block their phone number from ever contacting you again. This is a personal level block. This person, if I block them, won't be able to reach me, but they could reach other people in our organization. If you have somebody that's pestering multiple users in your organization, the system administrator has a company-wide block list as well that can be managed. So that's how you manage your voicemail. You also have unlimited fax and unlimited text messages, so those all come here, and they all originate from the same phone number. So you have one phone number, just like you have one email address. Super easy to be reached across all devices, across all services. Now, collaboration. I'd like to show you the messaging and meetings component of this app. So I can send messages to individual users. I can do it here. I could look a user up by typing in their last name, or I could invite somebody to chat with me just by entering their email address. Now, if this person has either Avaya Cloud Office or RingCentral, the message will just pop up in their app. There's no need for back-end complicated federation or anything like that. If they're not using Avaya Cloud Office or RingCentral, we won't judge. They'll get an email letting them know that a message has been sent. They can respond to it via email and it'll come into the chat here, or they can sign up for their own free messaging account with Avaya Cloud Office. So this way they can participate in the individual messages, or they can be invited to join a team. Because if I'm working on a project and I've got a batch of members that I want to bring together, I want to create a place where all this stuff is collected. So this way, when we meet, we're making sure that we're picking up where the last meeting left off. And the way that you do that is you create a new team. So you give it a team name, the Justice League. You enter members, so Batman, you're on the team, so people that are in your organization. And then you can invite people who are outside the organization by just entering their email. Give it a team description. We need to fight a enemy. And then there's a bevy of settings underneath for security and privacy, but I'll leave the defaults. I'm going to hit create. And what I've done is at a 100,000 foot level, I've created a team chat room. Hi, team. Now, when things get to be too much to type, we can make it a phone call or we can make it a video call with a single click up on the top. So if I click video, this will notify all of the team members that I've called the meeting to order, and they can click to answer on their computers. They can swipe to answer from their mobile devices, and then they'll be brought into this meeting session. And now I'm not going to click here because I don't want to break the space-time continuum by launching a video meeting within a video meeting. But when you have everybody together, like I said, you can invite up to 200 parties to join you. You'll see 16 of them on screen at once in high definition. You can page through the rest. And you can share an app or a specific desktop that you'd like. Now, during a meeting, maybe we're sharing files. Maybe we'd like to share this presentation I delivered earlier. I can do that right here. So instead of Dropbox and all that other stuff, I can just look for the file. Here it is. I can click upload and hit send. And now that file is available for the team in this one place. So we don't have to go looking for it. We include unlimited file storage with our accounts. There is a 90-day retention period that can either be expanded or contracted based off of your corporate policies. But this is a really great tool. So if I wanted to upload a 5-hour 4K video, I could do that. And it could all be stored right in here. Now, during a meeting, we can also have users keep meeting minutes. So this way, if I couldn't attend in real time, I can just read the cliff notes. So meeting minutes, and these can be any notes, but if I wanted to create a meeting minute, so attendees, we need to find Diana Prince. So then you can also throw some formatting on, and this can be done later on. You can save it as a draft, but I'll make that a header. I'll make this a header. I'll throw in a bar here. So once you get it exactly how you want it, you just click on the little paper airplane here, and now the note lives in the same tool. So if I couldn't meet in person, I can catch up quickly and easily by just opening up the notes. You can also track tasks. So we said we've got to find Diana Prince. Let's create a new task, find Diana Prince. And we can assign it to one or multiple members of the team. So we'll give that one to Batman. We can assign a due date. We're meeting again next week. We got to find it by then. And you can put some notes in here. So this way, when you're looking in on it, when you find her, ask how to find Atlantis. And now, again, the tool keeps all of this stuff in one place. Now, this looks really clean and easy when there's only a few things in the chat, right? But if you meet over a period of months or even years, finding data or finding files or finding notes could get a little messy. You've got to scroll through days, weeks, months, years worth of chat to find exactly what you're looking for. So that's why over on the right, we have these filters. So you can filter to show me all the files, show me all the notes that are in this team channel, show me all of the events, links, images. So everything that you need is quick and easy access right on the right. That is how you use your account as an end user to take the work out of getting work done. Now, the last thing I'd like to show you is the analytics tool, how we help our friends on the IT help desk when a request comes in to troubleshoot a bad audio experience. So to do that, I'm going to minimize this app, and I'm going to go back to that browser page, and I'm going to launch the analytics portal. Now, like I said, this is literally a buffet line of data that you can go through. You can see who's using what functionality. So this way you could use targeted learning opportunities to increase productivity. You can see utilization of assets. So who's using what phone numbers? Do we have phone numbers that aren't receiving any calls? Maybe we can cancel those. You can also see quality of service. So this shows you all of the calls that have gone through your account, in this case, today. And I'm going to round up, 99% of them measured great. Good quality, clean calls. But, there are a couple that happen from time to time. So I'm going to click here to see just those calls. And now I can start to investigate the call itself. So I could look at different calls. So let me try and find a good one here. So this one from Matt, I can start to see what happened. So I see first the network performance on Matt's side. I can see the upload. There was a problem here. A little bit of packet loss, a little bit of jitter, nothing that should have degraded the call that badly. But it is a little high. So, that could potentially be the issue. But we can further investigate. So I could come farther down and I can see Matt was using a computer. He was using a desktop client on a Windows laptop. Windows 10. I could see he was hardwired, so good for him having hardwired connections in his home office. I can see he was running through our proxy server, Zscaler, for security. And I could see potentially, if we were enabling it on his desktop, CPU utilization and memory allocation as well. So this way, if it's something in our control, we have the ability to fix it. So this way, if Matt has an issue, it won't happen again. You can troubleshoot reactively. So Matt calls into the help desk, reports an issue, and we start investigating. But you can also be proactive in how you troubleshoot. And you can do that by creating alerts. So an alert is watching a certain stimulus and then notifying users when that stimulus changes. So to create a new alert, let's create an alert. We're going to call it the CEO Quas Tracker. The alert severity, this one's high. And the target. So what is the stimulus that I want to monitor? It could be my entire organization. I need to know whenever anybody's having a bad experience. I could monitor a specific location, a specific user, even a specific ISP. So if I know that Spectrum is reporting issues today, I could actually turn on and monitor just that ISP. But in this case, I'm going to monitor the CEO. And I'm going to look for that user. I'm going to promote somebody. Abel, you're now the CEO of Avaya. Congratulations. And the trigger for this alert is a bad phone call greater than 1. So as soon as there's more than 1 bad phone call, that triggers the alert. And now, how do I want to be notified of this alert? I choose the delivery channel. So I could choose email. So we can send an email to a distribution list whenever there's an issue. It could go over to your contact center, for example, if you have your help desk running our contact center software. Or you could use that channel, that team channel that I created to receive those notifications via chatbot. So I can find that group that I created. Let me find them, the Justice League. There they are. And if I hit done and I hit create alert, anytime Abel has a single bad phone call, we're going to know about it right away. So we can research and greet Abel with a root cause analysis instead of listening to Abel describe what happened, researching potentially what went wrong, and then suggesting that to him. So whether you use this tool reactively or proactively or both, which is what most people do, this gives you the ability to make sure everything runs smooth as silk. And everything I've shown you here is included with our base package. There's no upcharge for any of the analytics, for the user experience that I showed you, or for that system administration. And that is a quick end-to-end tour of Avaya Cloud Office by RingCentral. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break out of the presentation mode. I'm going to ask Jim or let's open it up to questions. I don't know if there were any questions came in or if we want to open it up now. But Jim, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, no, that Steve, great job. And I think this was I think anytime you could actually show visuals and demo is always good for customers to see. So We can open it up to questions. I don't know. I was looking.
I think we just muted Jim.
Yeah, by accident. Can you guys hear me now?
We can.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where I lost you, but I would agree we could open it up to questions if there are any. I'm in the chat right now and do not see any, but why don't we give the audience a minute or two to ask any questions if they have them?
Hey, Steve, this is Hope. One of the biggest questions that we do get until someone asks something is if I'm an existing Avaya customer and I have, existing phones, and certainly the way that is set up today, how will that be impacted if I move to the cloud? Will those settings, can you talk about what that migration looks like and what Avaya does to make that a better experience for us,
sure.
Customer?
Yeah, sure. So let's start with the phone devices themselves. So if you have any of our newer devices, the J series phones, you don't need new ones. You can reuse those devices. We just point them at the cloud. They'll download the new firmware, and then they're ready to go. If you don't have newer devices, if you're using something that's a little bit older, we're running really great promos. So this way you can just get brand new phones from us. So the devices themselves will be taken care of. The services, which is what I think you were asking about, what our client success team will do, and this is another thing that makes us different than the market, is we understand where you're coming from and we know where you're going to. So it's not on you to explain to somebody in a call center overseas what happens when a user presses a button, uses a feature, dials a phone number. We can extract data from your existing gear. So we'll see how your system is programmed, and that'll get uploaded into the cloud. And then our client success team will then further tailor the solution for you, because this is a good opportunity to look at enhancements. Does this call flow work for you? Does this one not work the way you really want it to? There's new features in this system that you can take advantage of. So they'll walk you through that entire process. They'll do everything that's needed to make sure that your system is ready for first day go live. And then after go live, as I mentioned, if you have any issues, you contact us, and we'll troubleshoot those for you. If it does happen to need escalation, we'll do that on your behalf. But the whole key here is we want to make it painless for you, both from a hardware perspective, from a programming migration perspective, and then from a post-support perspective.
Steve, I've got a question, and maybe it's a little unconventional, but we now have, it looks like 30-something attendees, and I'm although we don't know a lot of them, I'm assuming they might be Avaya customers already and or interested in obviously ACO. But
sure.
What are, if any, are there good reasons why someone who is an existing customer, why they shouldn't make the transition, right? So everyone knows this is the future, right? But there might be some customers who question, is this the right time? So again, a little unconventional, but is there any good reasons why a customer who is an on-prem PBX, traditional legacy Avaya customer today shouldn't make the switch?
So let me tweak the question a little bit. So I'll reject your question. I'll give you a different question.
I like it.
In the same vein, what ends up happening oftentimes is customers consider moving to the cloud around a phone system milestone. My maintenance contract is up for renewal. Let's look at what's out in the market. Or, I got to buy more licenses for this phone system. Let's look at what's out in the market. And 9 times out of 10, this is an easy solution to fall in love with. I mean, you look at it, you see it, you can immediately see the financial benefits, the features, and everything else. And then the reality of the contractual thicket comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You started the evaluation around that one milestone, but there are multiple milestones associated with a migration. We don't live in a coterminous world. So, if I have my phone system maintenance is up, I may still have 2 or 3 years left on my carrier contract. I don't need that anymore because that's included with ACO. I may have just upgraded the hardware and I'm in the middle of depreciating it, and the financial folks aren't going to let me just, throw that away at this point. So sometimes it's not even so much the decision to move to cloud as much as the timing on when to move to cloud. So we've got a variety of options to help customers do that. So one of the things that we can do to help start the journey to cloud, it's not a jump, typically it's more of a journey, is we have an option called subscription. So it gives you some cloud-like benefits with your on-prem gear, per user per month pricing instead of buying licensing. We bundle applications instead of the death by a million paper cuts approach that the old software used to be. And you get some burstability, not as much as cloud, but you can add, roughly 20% growth to your system without having to contact us, place orders, or anything else. But the key is it also lets you move from your premise solution with that subscription to cloud with no penalty fees.
Right.
So you can start the journey, get some of those benefits, financial benefits and such, and then when the timing is right, finish the journey into a full cloud solution without having to pay twice for anything or without having to try and tightly orchestrate. I need to go live by this date because this is ending and this is starting. It gives you a lot of breathing room. So we see that a lot from customers, and we've got a great solution for that.
Yeah, and even in our experience, kind of being on the kind of advisor side of things, we've seen, to your point, maybe you have a existing contract for your SIP trunks, right? And that might be an extra 2 years, but whether that was COVID or for whatever reason, you wanted to make the switch sooner. In some cases, and these, it's not a one size fits all, but in some cases, we encourage you talking to your ISP or your providers and asking if that spend can move elsewhere. So maybe that SIP spend goes into data center spend or whatever it might be. Because at the end of the day, I think the ISPs are realizing that this is the transition. And if it doesn't happen now, they are going to lose that spend at some point. So why not keep our customers happy and try to keep them, within their portfolio somewhere. So yeah, I would say another question I have is so action items for today and for all of our webinars is you will receive a recording of the webinar. Hope, I think that will either come from Eventbrite or that could hopefully come specifically from us. But for a customer who wants to engage further, they want to have another conversation about this, maybe more specific to their environment. What does that process look like? Would that include you, Steve, or could that include a different engineer? And how does a traditional kind of campaign go when you talk to customers about this?
Yeah, sure. So I do a lot of these types of webinars and events, but we have a whole army of folks that are responsible for taking care of customers out in the field. So no matter where you are around the world, you've got a dedicated account team that will work with you on what's involved with where you are, where you're trying to go, helping you get proposals, helping you kind of understand, what the journey looks like. So we've got a whole, group. So I would recommend that, anybody that's interested, reach out to you, coordinate with Hope, and we can definitely get them connected with the local account teams.
Cool. Hope, any other thoughts or questions? We could give everybody a few minutes back, unless you have any thoughts before closing out.
No, I appreciate everyone joining today. I think that we will absolutely send out follow-up communications, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any further questions, want to discuss, any of the things we spoke about today with the Opkalla team. And, Opkalla and Avaya, we have a partnership, and we're here to support them and their customers and provide all of the, engineering and all the expertise that, we have to be able to help make that migration to the future, right, to the cloud in an effective, efficient way. And so, yeah, I appreciate everyone taking some time out of their busy schedules today and joining us, and we'll be in touch.
Great. Yeah, and I will just reiterate what Hope said. Thank you all for joining. I hope you guys found it productive. We will follow up with an email and reach out as needed if this is something you'd like to talk about. We'd love to talk to you about it. So it is just about, 7 minutes shy of the hour. But thank you again. And Steve, awesome job. I thought that was great. And the demo was very insightful. So thank you, everyone, for joining. And we will be in touch.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.